Who?
Negro wants 22 death certificates.
That sounds more likely.
Same thought. Has invited you to a meeting. Joining meeting now.
It was my first time seeing the lasagna menu. It looked delicious and it smelled delicious, but of course I didn't eat any.
Good morning, everybody. It is December 17th, 2024 at 9 a.m. And I'd like to call this meeting to order. We'll start with roll call. Commissioner Skapansky.
Here.
Commissioner Cumbest.
Present.
Commissioner Brown.
Present.
Commissioner Allen.
Present.
Commissioner Heffley. Commissioner Obiella. Okay.
Madam Chairwoman, I'd like to make a motion to excuse Commissioner Heffley.
I have a motion to excuse Commissioner Heffley.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Motion passes. And Commissioner Obiella. Okay, we have a quorum. Okay, moving to agenda item number 2. I'd like to invite Ms. Smith to come up for our invocation.
Okay. And I sent him that and the various approval letters I need to get back to on the forward.
Thank you. Moving to agenda item number 3, the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Cumbest, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
To the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas pledge.
One state under God.
Hey, bud. Hey, that kid that's doing the that kid that's
Okay,
doing,
moving to agenda item number 4, our minutes for September 12th, 2024.
Hey, Angie.
Madam Chairwoman, I see a misprint in the date September 12, 2022.
Just one digit's off.
2024.
So adding the 4 on the date.
Correct.
Okay.
I move to approve the minutes with the amended date of 2024.
I have a motion.
Second.
Seconded. Any discussion? Motion passes. Agenda item number 5, move to public comment. I apologize. That's agenda item number 6. No, I'm sorry, number 5. You're correct. 5. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, for public comment, we'll have 3 minutes. And if you are with us on Zoom, please make sure that your video and your microphone is on when it's your turn to speak, and you'll have to raise your hand. We're going to start with the people that are in the room. Mr. Waldman?
Good morning, Commissioners,
Good morning.
and happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you all. I come before you this morning to humbly suggest that we do a better job in publicizing these meetings. I sit here in the audience today, and funeral directors don't outnumber commissioners, and that's not a good thing. So my recommendation might be on the front page of the website, have the 4 dates of the meetings. And then when you actually firm up a meeting, make it in bold so we can go to the website very easily and find it. It's not only for funeral directors, but it's for the public at large. Everybody should know when you are meeting easily and be able to partake if they wish. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, have a wonderful holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next, Mr. Wilson?
Good morning, Commissioners. To you, Mr. Executive Director. My name is Desiree Wilson. I am the owner of Baytown Memorial Funeral Home. I'm here today asking again for the reinstatement of my license. I view everyone in the body itself in this wonderful and sacred industry that we're privileged to serve in as colleagues. Conversely, there are others that view us as competition and competitors. And unfortunately, without having a license, it creates an unfair competitive advantage for my competitors or colleagues. Just as recently as yesterday, they was asking for a funeral director or a funeral home in the Baytown area. And of course, my name came up, but again, he's not licensed. His license was taken away from him. The problem I have with that is every time they do say that, it's crazy because they don't tell the whole story. Truth be told is just like every licensee is required to, I sat before the national board exam and passed on the first attempt. So I know what it's like to have the license. My body of work speaks for itself. I served on the local, state, national, and international level. But I have to pay a licensed funeral director, which creates, as a small business owner, an unnecessary added expense to my budget. And I pay a professional funeral director to stay in compliance and to stay legal to do a job which I know I'm more than capable of doing. And for the sake of the 3 minutes, and as I sit down, I know what it's like to have that license. I know what it's like to hold it. I know the prestige and the reverence and the charge that you're with the public trust that the commissioners and the executive director gives us. And I had it. And the problem is when you have to relinquish it, I know what it's like to not have it. You know, the embarrassment for your colleagues to see that. And, you know, not only that, even your family and those families that you serve. So again, I ask that, I can have my license reinstated, put this behind me, move forward. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, Mr. Moore.
Hello, how you doing?
Okay.
This is my first time ever coming to something like this. I was just told I had to come talk to y'all about my provisional license, trying to get it done. I had a little trouble in my past, and they told me to come up here, so I don't know the procedures of what I'm supposed to do or anything like that. So,
Okay. Okay, I understand. How about this? This is public comment, but I'll make sure you get with a staff member here shortly that can give you some direction.
okay.
I appreciate you being
All right,
here.
thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moore. Okay. You'll put the mouse on who I need to call out. Okay, next is Dr. Gilbert.
Good morning, Executive Director and Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this morning. My name is Dr. Gilbert, Professor and Associate Dean at the School of Health Professions at Texas Tech University Health Science Center. I also have the honor of serving as Senior Managing Director for the Institute of Anatomical Sciences, and I'm also proud to be a member of your state Anatomical Advisory Committee. I want to start by just saying that recent news has been disheartening. What's come to light in regard to unclaimed bodies is not okay, never should have happened, and it's a disheartening situation. And so I want you to know that. The commission itself has a challenging task in front of you. Number one, just to try to work with the legislature to strengthen regulations in the statute, but also strengthen and clarify rules that manage or handle anatomical dealings. I just want you to let you know that our team at TTUHSC and the Institute of Anatomical Sciences and Willed Body Program is and has always been committed to protecting the dignity and respect of donors and their families. It's no different than the dignity and respect that you require. Jason Jones and Rex Johnson are both on our team. They're both 30-year veterans in the funeral directing, and they're committed to the same things. And so our team is committed to those things just like you are. And after all that's happened, I want to confirm that I, members of my team, as well as the State Anatomical Advisory Committee members, are ready, willing, and able to help us move forward. I believe that the focus moving forward needs to be the legislative process. There needs to be clarity in the law that surrounds anatomical use and donation. I've been a part of the last two legislative sessions in regard to looking at this statute. I have comments and edits for the legislative statute that are available if the commission is interested in looking at those. Those have been put together over a number of years with our team. And ultimately, the bottom line is we have to find a way to move forward. Our committee and the commission have not been communicating well. We'd like to fix that. Ultimately, the bottom line that I have for the commission is we're here. How can we help? Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Haynes, do we have any other public comment? Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Moving to agenda item number 6. Well, welcome and good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. I want to be respectful of everyone's time, especially given the season. And I'll tell you, this commission office has been very busy, and we have an incredible team working with us. And I'm really excited for everyone to get to meet some of the new faces and hear from them. Our executive director, Scott Bingaman, has been very busy. So I don't want to delay, and I want him to be able to tell you all the great things they've been doing. So I'm going to move to agenda item number 7 and invite our executive director, Scott Bingaman, up.
Hey, hon, good morning. Can you hear me?
I can't.
Good morning. Okay, so we have our Executive Director, Scott Bingaman, and Deputy Executive Director of Operations, Mrs. Reinhardt. Very new with us. So thank you.
Good morning, everybody.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Madam Chair, Commissioners. Our final statutorily required meeting for the calendar year to recap the last quarter convenes today. And wow, do I have a lot to talk about. I'm going to try to make it brief, okay? Best I can. So I'm going to share with you what our little agency has been up to. The Funeral Squad, as I have affectionately dubbed our team, has achieved notable progress this quarter, advancing modernization efforts, strengthening regulatory oversight, and adapting to the evolving needs of our stakeholders. Moreover, the Funeral Squad has begun the long march to seeking a better way of doing business, such as closing complaints and being responsive to shifting priorities. We have fulfilled staffing needs, such as a new Deputy Executive Director, Ms. Laura Reinhardt, and a new staff attorney, Ms. Sarah Sanders. We also have a little attorney that joined us about a week ago, 6 pounds, something ounces, I think. Baby's name is Caden. So for those of you who are not in the know, Ms. Sarah Hartsfield had her child, what felt like forever pregnancy to most of us. We've developed a construct also for the organizational makeup of the agency, testified before the LBB, and have been actively engaged with legislative offices in response to agency need and events impacting the death care and anatomical universe. Though we celebrate these accomplishments, the victory lap is short as the legislative session is upon us. The agency remains vigilant by proactively addressing challenges to uphold our mission and ensure long-term success. Planning for the long term has involved modernizing our present IT systems to include operations, financial progress, and regulatory developments. Right now, we are developing an electronic payment system to enhance the efficiency and transparency of our financial processes. This system will streamline payments for the Will Body Donor Program and eventually other program areas while ensuring compliance with our state standards. No more shifting funds to a small third-party bank anymore. It's going right to the comptroller. As far as our financial progress and sustainability, despite rising operational costs, including expenses for travel, equipment, and technology upgrades, we maintained a modest budget surplus of about $24,000 at the close of FY24. These wound up becoming lapse funds and were returned to the comptroller, but plans are in place to ensure that our funds are expended to the max. Recognizing the need for financial sustainability, the agency is going to conduct a market analysis to evaluate fee adjustments and align them with fair market standards. This will help address funding gaps and support critical agency functions. Moreover, the agency was very proactive in submitting over a dozen reports since September. Some of those dozen report highlights include our FY24 annual financial report, which was done quite early, back in November. It's not due till the end of this month. Workforce performance measures have been turned in through our A-Best system. Third quarter sunset report was turned in. Regrettably, there's still 2 out there that we're working on, but they are very close to submission. And our Sunset Commission implementation briefing, which was a chart that showed basically what we have been doing for the last year to fold the SAB into the Funeral Service Commission. As far as our regulatory developments are concerned, the Funeral Service Commission has transitioned responsibilities from the Anatomical Board, introducing new compliance measures and reviewing and improving internal procedures. We continue to address non-compliance cases with firm yet fair regulatory actions, including cease and desist orders and enhanced complaint investigations, ensuring proper handling and disposition of decedent remains according to statute. We do have some emerging challenges that are on the horizon. Following the transition from the Anatomical Board, we identified potential financial irregularities. To ensure transparency and uphold public trust, we have requested investigation by the State Auditor's Office into a situation that continues to remain fluid. We do have resource constraints. The increased workload from additional regulatory responsibilities, such as investigative complaints, has stretched our staff and our resources. To mitigate this, we are optimizing our internal processes, investing in staff training, exploring options to enhance staffing levels, and increasing government efficiency through IT development and automation. Specifically, the enforcement segment of the agency will undergo a massive transformation using data interface and to drive automation, tracking, and efficiency. This will begin the second phase of our IT upgrade efforts starting late in FY25. We do have some technology transitions. The upcoming migration of Texas.gov payment services is ongoing, which will eventually marry our system that we're currently developing with the state's payment portal. Additionally, the agency has since partnered with the Department of Information Resources to host the agency's servers and provide IT support for more complex issues. We are pivoting away from the Health Professions Council that is offering IT support now in favor of DIR. Operational flexibility. We have limited contingency funds and a heavy reliance on legislative appropriations, which pose challenges to our operational flexibility. But a lot of interest has been generated in this agency for achieving its financial and staffing goals, specifically legislative briefings and a recent hearing before the LBB highlighting our LAR have given heft to the agency's budget request. I've included several attachments inside y'all's binder. I don't need to go through all of them, but if there are any questions that you may have, feel free to ask away and I'll do my best to answer.
I may be recalling this incorrectly, but I believe the last budget had a special rider that appropriated funds to Health Professions Council for our IT. How are we now making use of that money going to DIR? Which
Right.
we obviously need some help on the IT portion.
Sure.
So thank you for getting that help.
No problem. Let me pull my notes up here. So this is our data center services
Okay.
transition, and this money, and this is the way DIR and our agency have discussed this, there's no cost to us because it's already been appropriated.
Okay.
For the details, our servers are going to be going out to San Angelo. Sounds like, oh my gosh, it's way too far away, but it'll all be handled remotely. And we have superior IT security that will be put in place and IT support staff. We will have server upgrades. There'll be additional support for more IT efficiency, which Ms. Laura is going to get into here. Cybersecurity, public-private cloud management, application support will all be under DIR's framework, which we have here. It's just minimal. But you are correct. It will be financially covered, so to speak. We're not taking on any additional cost.
That was my only concern about it.
Sure.
Because the Appropriations Act had a specific rider for our IT work at DIR. At Health Professions Council.
I would just like to comment that you all have done a terrific job on getting the reporting done. I know it's a lot of work, it's a lot of detail, and you're brand new at it with us. And I'm really impressed with the work you all have done to get us where we are from just looking at from September to now. And I want to say thank you and thank you, Mr. Bingaman, for your leadership in getting these things done. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am.
You've done great.
I'll agree with that. As you're speaking, I thought, man, it's only been since September and all that. That's pretty amazing. And that speaks not only to you, but to your staff as well.
Thank you.
Pretty amazing.
Thank you.
The last time we saw you was when we hired you.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
I mean, we've seen you in person since then individually, but as a board. So a great accomplishment. And thank you to the new staff for hitting the ground running.
I also want to thank our staff that's been with us for a while.
Yes.
And the things that you've been doing, going through, and the transition. Man, y'all have come out ahead of this game big time with the new faces and the veterans. So thank you for your leadership. Thank you guys every day. Serious.
Absolutely. Thank you. Does anyone have any more questions for Mr. Bingaman at this time? Okay. Well, we'll move to agenda item number 8. It's separate, but Ms. Laura Reinhardt.
Morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners.
I just, You know what, Mr. Bingaman, can you give us a brief introduction, introducing Miss Laura? I know you have,
Certainly.
give us some background. She's
So
great.
Miss Laura is the new Deputy Executive Director. She hails from the Secretary of State's office, where she, 18 years? 17 and a half years she was employed there. Her last post there was Human Resources Manager. And so she has now joined us to be our Operations Manager, overseeing HR and financial. I've known her for a very brief period, and I will tell you, this is my go-to.
Good.
So I'm very happy that she decided to walk away from a 17 and a half year career at the Secretary of State's office to join me here. It means a lot. Take it away, ma'am.
Good morning. I'm Laura. Pleasure to be in front of you today. Just got a few quick things to go over in my short time here. I will reiterate what you guys said, that the current staff has taken our direction and done really well with it. I had a lot of ideas from the get-go, and I still have a lot of ideas, but one step at a time, right? We're going to get there, and I think they're doing a great job, and I really appreciate all of them and all of your support as well. We are currently at 15 employees. 14 of them are full-time, 1 is part-time, and they all pull their weight. They all do what they need to do when asked. As you know, we are going to work on making that number much bigger after legislative session. We hired Miss Sarah Sanders as our attorney. She's right there. She's hit the ground running and really, really done a great job with Sarah Kemp. And now as Sarah is out with her little one, she is our go-to, and she's doing an amazing job. The good news on the horizon is we have hired 2 new investigators to be on our enforcement team. They will start January 13th. One of them will be a former detective, so that's very exciting. And the second gentleman is a former funeral director, so he has insight into the industry and understands what we need and what we are looking for. One of the other top priorities I came in looking at was our service to the community, to our constituents. I have restructured the schedules so that the phone is always being answered. People will be here at 8 o'clock, and we have staggered our lunch hours so that the phone is always being answered, and we can get and reach back out to those that call with questions or concerns at any time. Recently, I attended the TSABA conference. The TSABA is the Texas State Association of Business Administrators Association. This group has 2 conferences a year, and it's a great experience to be there. This particular conference, because we will be in legislative session soon, focused on the upcoming legislature. We had presentations from Jerry McKinty, who is the director of LBB, and 2 other, Scott Dudley and Chris Mattson, who are in charge of fiscal notes. So we expect those to be coming, and we are preparing for that as well. It was a great conference overall. We also focused on building leaders, and I got plenty of resources and input on how we can grow as an agency there. And we also had a great presentation by Matthew Watkins of the Texas Tribune, who gave us insight to what to expect in the next session. Overall, as Mr. Bingaman said, we are working on improving our resources within the agency. I am working with HPC and Mr. Clint on getting us into Outlook.
Carol?
Currently, what we're using, I don't feel
these,
is generating the best
cards in here?
way to service our constituents. Being in Outlook would allow us to be much more organized, return emails, get back to the people quicker, and it will also help with our security. We are also working on setting up shared drives just to secure our information a lot better than what we currently have. And we're moving along. I think we have a long way to go, but we've done a lot in the short months that I've been here, and I appreciate everyone's help on that. And thank you for welcoming me, everybody. I appreciate it. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Is it appropriate to disclose the names of our new investigators?
The names?
Mhm.
Yes, sir. It's Mr. John Rowe and Mr. Andrew Gonzalez.
Oh, huh.
Last question for me.
Sure.
How hard do you think that would be to transition to Outlook?
As far as I understand it, it shouldn't be that difficult. I've been working with Mr. Clint right over there, and he's my go-to. It shouldn't be that difficult. We would just move the email system over there. We can use Outlook currently, but when you're in the system we currently use, it doesn't separate the emails as easy. So when our staff goes to their inbox, they have 80, 100 emails, and some of them may be from Mr. Bingaman or myself or a constituent with a question, and it's hard for them to decipher. We don't want them to miss any memos or anything of importance to them. I don't foresee it to be a difficult process.
Yeah, I'm glad you're looking into that.
Yes, and I believe that if we get into Outlook, we'll also have Teams, which will make communication within the staff much easier as well, and then setting up meetings and things like that.
Thank you.
There's a $24,000 price tag that goes with it. And I know that they were looking, HPC was looking to see if any other of the folks in our Article 8 world wanted to join in. So we've been waiting for that. And shared drive, everybody has access to our drives. And so this was one of the things that came up in an IT audit. It was very brief. That was done over the last couple months. The fact that people can get into those folders and there's very little security has really caught our attention. So this has become one of our priorities to address as well. Ensure that we have lockdown and our investigators can keep their files in the enforcement side of the house away from access from everybody else.
I believe it's a needed thing. Thank you for looking into it big time. Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now for our financial report. Unfortunately, Mr. Noambama was unable to join us today. However, Mr. Bingaman will step in for his financial report.
Good morning. So this is going to be pretty brief. If we go to tab 4 in your binder, you'll see a FY 2025 fund summary. The good part about this is there is $1,079,000 about left in the budget for the year. If you see the percent of amount spent line, we should be about 25% because we just concluded our first quarter for the fiscal year. So we're right on pace with where we should be. I have been working closely with Jacques to ensure that we're on pace to be able to expend all funds. And by April, he says, I've been asking him for a projection for, if you see on the very last column, it'll say anatomical board. There's a $98,504. Those are fees that have been collected thus far for the first quarter from the anatomical side of the house. I've been asking for a projection to see what we can estimate moving forward. This has caused some issues previously with trying to figure out our budget because the lack of information that was shared, the website that was put up that had zero fees attached to it really derailed our efforts to try to estimate where our budget was going. But we think by April, we can get our heads wrapped around what that number would look like. There are some proposals today that'll be up for consideration concerning those fees, which will tie back into this later on down the road. Turning to the second page, or the after the blue page, this will be our complete breakout of our current operational budget. Really, the portion to pay attention to is that very last column. You'll see some percentage signs that are in blue. Again, that is the amount that has been expended for the budget for the year. We are right on target with where we need to be. Some of these funds at some point will need to be changed through a budget change request. Fairly easy to do. But I'm pretty happy with where our financial picture is. We actually are healthy financially, and we have been following our rules and statutes according to the comptroller. This was after reviewing our annual financial report and some of our other financial reports that we have submitted throughout the year. It is very clear to me that we have been following what we need to financially. So I'm very pleased with that. We've had weekly meetings with finance, which opens that door for communication to ensure we are financially healthy and doing what we need to do as far as our rules are concerned with the comptroller. Can I answer anybody's questions concerning our operational budget?
We had it in the board materials. I know Commissioner Sapansky had asked about the situation with the fees from the anatomical board and how they were handling those outside of state accounts.
Sure.
Can you update us on that?
Sure
Is this an
can.
appropriate place to do that?
Yes, sir.
So I have a documentation that I included. It was an email chain that was between the Commissioner Skapansky and I and our vendor that is developing our payment system. We affectionately refer to him as Dan in Arizona. Dan in Arizona was tasked with trying to figure out if he could spot where these funds were being used or how they were being used, where they were going. And he figured out that they were using, the anatomical board was using an application called Stripe. And that is not something that is approved by the comptroller. This is typically used when you use like a third-party bank, like if I were to go to Frost Bank or something like that.
Or you sell an item on the internet.
Correct.
Like I have a
Right.
Stripe account for a book that I publish, so
So you're
very
familiar
with it.
So the exact dollar amount, right, we still have been unable to figure out what that is, but this information was sent to the state auditor's office. At this time, they're still weighing if the words that were used were burden of, I think it was burden of a crime being committed. They're still trying to understand if that is applicable. So until they feel confident that that has occurred right now, it's still gathering facts.
I guess my question is, are we confident? Do we have some confidence level that we have recovered all of the funds? Because I remember our last meeting, we kind of were surprised that we got a check after the beginning of the fiscal year,
Right.
written on a checking account at some bank somewhere, and that just kind of didn't set well with us that that all the funds were accounted for.
So we received a $700,000 check, and then there was another check in there for, it was 94,000, correct? Right.
That's
And then we
about
had a
right,
$900 check that was submitted. That was the last one.
Yes.
We received that, I think, at the end of October. Those are the only checks that we received, handwritten checks from South.
To that bank account, they shut that bank account
That is
down.
correct. And I was doggedly pursuing Dr. Luke, who was the treasurer of the former anatomical board. He refused to cooperate.
So the question was, are you confident that we have received all the funds?
At this time, yes. There's no other evidence to say that something's maybe out there because they stopped collecting fees on their website. They dumped it to zero. And that website, before we turned off access to it, there wasn't anything in it, as far as we could tell. So we don't have access to their financial records to that bank that they were using. The only way to be 100% certain is to ensure that we have access to that bank and their financial records to ensure that everything has been emptied out of that account.
And that's
So-
something SAO can get, the auditor's office, state auditor's office?
I have requested that, and at this time, they are not pursuing it until other information becomes available that they feel a crime has been committed.
Okay.
So to answer your question, I'm
Not confident.
fairly no. I can't say with certainty that we have all of it.
But you've done everything in your power, our staff's power, to try to make sure that we've accounted for those during that period, that the transition period where from September 1st of last year, there probably was no incoming funds because I remember that they, during the legislative session, reduced their fees to zero.
Correct.
So there probably was no incoming funds. The question is how that money that was existing in there, which, as you note, was, just shy of $1 million when you think about it, a little less than that. But how that money was spent, that's really something for the auditor's office to figure out.
Absolutely.
So the $1 million, right? There was money that was appropriated to us. That made up the other part to bring it close to $1 million. I think it was 900 something and change. So there was a little over 700,000 plus the 90, and then whatever was left to get it close to $1 million was basically appropriated to us from the legislature. So, and that may be where some of the confusion's coming in here, is that the legislature had lent a hand to give us some of that money. So it wasn't 900,000 and change that we were expecting in total from the anatomical board. It was appropriation is what boosted it.
Can I
to
come
that
down
number.
there?
So the other part of this question to
All right.
answer is really trying to nail down with the Sunset Commission and potentially the Legislative Budget Board to understand where they got their estimates from. That will really help drive potential next steps on what we need to do, either with the SAO or some other investigative arm to go forward. And I say that because they must have had some information in front of them to help them determine that number, which I have yet to get my hands on.
By my recollection, the bill had a fiscal note attached to it and said that they got the information from the SAB itself. But I'll have to go back and look at that. That was my recollection from the session.
Okay, understood.
Did you ever get a response from Dr. Luke?
No.
Did the governor's office help you with that as well? Did I see that
We've been in communication.
Yes.
communication
With the
with it
governor's
to
office.
try to connect?
We have been
Okay,
communicating,
yeah.
yes, correct.
And it's been reported to the state auditor's office, and we're doing everything, or the staff's doing everything that we can do to make sure that we've documented it. And again, we have not received any cooperation.
So if I recall, I think there was a time where the commission absorbed those accounts, right? There was a clear time. I don't remember what that date was, and that you were requesting for access to those accounts because the commission was overseeing those, correct?
September 1st, 2024.
Okay. So we did not get access to those accounts. And you know, I don't want to keep going in circles. I'm pretty sure that you've given the folks all the information that they need, but
To include statutory requirement that
it's
they
a
are supposed to
statutory
cooperate.
requirement, right? So if that wasn't done, I don't know when you're saying and I don't want to say that this is a crime, but it definitely wasn't following the rules, right? Maybe those
Agreed.
are different,
Mhm.
but where's the accountability for following the rules? Just specifically in that case, right?
Correct.
You've got a commission that absorbs
Mhm.
these accounts. We're not being given access to it. And it wasn't that you were reaching out to the wrong person or the wrong folks, or that you hadn't reached out to them at all. We see the email chain from that. So my question, where's the accountability in all of this?
So who to appeal to next? I don't know who the higher power would be at this point. Would have to seek further governance on it, on what to do. I have involved as many people that I know that we could appeal to. I'm not sure where the next level is at this point. There is one other, potentially two, that I could consult with outside of the sphere. That would take further communication at the Office of the Governor's level in order to facilitate that, which I'm glad to do, happy to do. So, and I've been just as frustrated as you have, Commissioner. I have wanted to know where accountability is and who do I appeal this to. But you're starting to get into, not you personally, but the anatomical board is no longer around anymore. And there's an assumption of responsibilities that falls on us now at this point. So do we move forward? Yes. Are we able to account for issues that happened before in the past? For sure. So if that ever comes up, we have documentation that shows, hey, we made a very serious attempt here to correct something that was done wrong. But we'll continue searching to see if we can figure out if there is something else we can appeal to. And you've had my word, I'll do it.
And it is in the works also in our reports that we have submitted to Sunset. We've been in communication with them as well, so they understand what's happened through the implementation process and the cooperation or lack of cooperation that we're receiving. So that's also been noted in all of our reports that we've also submitted.
One thing that I would note is Dr. Luke is a employee of the state. He works for UT Southwestern. And in UT, you know, this was part of his, if you look at the structure of State Anatomical Board, it was made up of the public universities that made use of these. And so this was an additional duty. He wasn't being paid to be a part of the State Anatomical Board. That board might not exist anymore, but it was an additional duty of employment as part of the UT system. And I did state earlier that the source information was the board. If you actually look at the bottom, I had that wrong. The source information for the fiscal impact in the bottom of the fiscal note said University of Texas System Administration. That's what made me think about that right now. Texas Tech University System Administration, University of North Texas System Administration, and Texas A&M University System. So they were getting that financial data from the universities itself, who were producing that revenue data that they used to inform the legislature in passage of Senate Bill 2040. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to beat a dead horse. We got to look forward, but maybe the state auditor's office might look to those university systems for a little accountability with regards to where that money was spent.
I believe that's a very good point.
Commissioner Opiella made my point. You had said that the SAB is no longer around. It's been dissolved, right? But that board was made up of people. Those people are still here. And for folks that have been in this industry for 20, 30 plus years, you would think that they would want to help navigate this process and have transparency to make sure that when we absorb this, that we're doing the best that we can so that we can move forward and we can right the wrongs and make sure that this is the best process moving forward. And that's what's frustrating, because I don't see that. That board is gone, I get that, but the people are still here. They haven't left. And there's zero communication. And that's what's frustrating.
For sure. Yeah, completely understandable.
I'm not accusing anybody of doing anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just a little concerned that why they wouldn't want to show that they didn't do anything wrong. We're using the public's funds.
Mm-hmm.
We should have an open book as to what we're doing with the public's funds.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You can put all this to bed by just opening your book. Somebody has those records. Not us, but somebody does. That's it.
Absolutely. And we'll make every effort to get to it. I agree. Somebody has it and it can be easy. Just show us, right? Any other comments? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, licensing, Ms. Haynes. Licensing.
That's a couple of
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I have included the licensing report, and I also would like to make an announcement as well to our licensees, if you guys allow me. Okay. So the Texas Funeral Service Commission has a few important updates to share. One, it would be the online renewal system. TFSC has launched an online licensing renewal system with a how-to-user guide for step-by-step instructions. So starting January 2025, paper renewal applications will no longer be accepted. All renewals must be completed online. This new online process will streamline the mailing, reviewing, and fees processing. We encourage all applicants to take advantage of the efficiency and friendly system. Second will be the renewal notifications. Renewal notifications will be sent to the email address on file. Please verify and update your contact information as needed to ensure you receive these notifications. And third will be the background check information. Texas Funeral Service Commission has emailed background checks information to all the licensed individuals and establishment owners. Please know that licenses will be marked as delinquent if the background check requirement is not completed before the renewal date is due. Anyone can contact our office. They can email us at licensing@tfsc.texas.gov, or they can call us at 512-936-2474 at any time if they have any questions.
So I just had a quick question with that. How are we when is this going to be implemented?
For the renewal paper, January 2025.
Okay. How is this being communicated?
We will be sending out through our mail distributions. Every time there's a renewal process, every monthly, we send out a renewal notification. Within that renewal notifications, we have links where they can go with instructions for the background check, with instructions to how to use our guide, with clicking here so you can go directly to the online renewal system. What we have found out that our licensees are used to receiving a post card in the mail, and that's what they're expecting. So we're trying to get the word out to let them know that we're emailing this because we're able to provide more information by email and letting them know this is what's going on.
So I just want to make sure I understood you correctly. We're emailing
Yes.
the industry to let
Yes.
them know that they're going to receive their license online, or everything's going to be done online,
Correct.
right? So we're not sending any mail notifications. Are we working with the TFDA to note so that they can notify their folks as well?
We can reach out to them for sure.
The only reason I'm asking is because some folks that are used to receiving mail may have an email that they don't ever check. So if we're sending the email notification that there's going to be a change and everything's going to be done through email, they may not get it.
Okay, we definitely reach out.
I'll mention that this went into effect last year, and we did work with the TFDA, and they did put it in their newsletter, and also put in their newsletter about the background checks for facilities. Yes, I think so. And a lot of licensees also receive a postcard from the continuing education groups that still come in the mail, and their license is on the wall. So, and their responsibility to watch the expiration date.
Ms. Haynes, how do we have a large percentage that still do it by paper?
Yes.
Okay. I wouldn't have thought so. And then the second question, the phone calls I've been getting nonstop is about the establishment owners and the background checks. And so I think that most people that pay attention, they understood that was coming. A lot of people choose to be low information and they don't see that. So obviously the first time they feel like they hear about it is when they get a note from you saying you're not in compliance because you haven't done a background check, but they're learning. So for future reference, just so I can answer the question properly, we have to renew our establishment license. Is it every 2 years, every year, every 2 years?
Establishment license is once a year.
And so will there be a background check for the owner every year? And the reason I ask that is obviously there could be a criminal charge in between there. So is this a one time or is this an every year when you reapply, you will be doing a background check?
This is a one-time. Once they perform the background check, they're going to be subscribed to Texas Funeral Service Commission, and any event will be sent out to the agency or the commission to be reviewed.
Okay.
Any more questions for Ms. Haynes? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, compliance and enforcement, Ms. Rodriguez? Oh, yes, sir.
Just one more comment before we go to the next one. I'm really appreciative to staff for moving this online. I know it's a little bit of a burden for people who are used to doing it on paper, but I still remember when James White was hired, he came upon a pile of checks, in the office. So this is good for our accountability. Thank you.
Absolutely. And he was instrumental in the heavy lifting to get this done. And I think we're very grateful for it. Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Rodriguez. Good morning. If you'll get closer to the microphone, please, ma'am.
And I wanted to answer any questions you might have.
This is first time I've seen the Will Body program show up in that report. They have been registering before this report, correct? It's just, this is the first time they're reflected in there.
Yes, sir.
Well, you look like you've been busy and you've gotten a lot accomplished. And I know that comes with a lot of hard work and a lot of time. And
Yeah.
I think we're very appreciative because we're going in the right direction.
No, that was.
I also like it how it shows now the revenue as well, so we stay on track with our budget. So that's appreciated. We appreciate it. Sorry. I don't have anything else.
Any other questions or discussion? Anyone want
Yeah,
to
we can.
Comments?
Not from Ms. Rodriguez, no, ma'am.
Thank you.
Well, and congratulations on expanding your group as well, your staff. So hopefully
Very
that'll help
excited.
close some cases.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Madam Chair, is it possible that we could bring Ms. Haynes back one more time for a question?
Ms. Haynes? One more question, please, ma'am.
I'm sorry, Ms. Haynes. I just had one question. I overlooked it. I did highlight it yesterday looking through this. In your licensing report, there was a large number midway down, 163,612. I'm just curious, and then also 305. I'm just curious, just because they stood out to me. You see what I'm talking about?
Over the first page or the
It's
second?
the FY 25 first quarter licensing report.
License.
Active individual renewal.
Mhm.
Is that a normal number?
It can fluctuate
Okay.
depending how many, it can be that April, we have a lot of licensees, given
Sure.
that they are renewing on their birthday months.
Okay.
So it can go
But
up
it
and down.
does move.
It does move,
Okay,
yes.
that's what I was just clarifying that because it's a larger number, so.
Right.
Okay.
So depending how many applicants we have for that quarter or that
Sure.
month,
Okay.
it's gonna go up or down.
Once again, it renews on their birthday, so if there's a lot in that first quarter, there'd be a higher number. And then also on establishment, that's also a high number. And that's basically when they open their
Correct,
facility, and it's a yearly process after that.
correct. So those numbers are gonna fluctuate, go up or down.
Thank you.
Before we leave this topic, Madam Chair, I'd like to remind licensees that it is not appropriate to ex parte communicate with the board members. We received some emails over the last month from people that are involved in staff level problems, I guess is the best way to say that. And those should be directed to the executive director, because ultimately, as licensees, you're going to have to come before us if there's a problem with it, and we want to remain unbiased as to what is going on in your particular matter. And I just, this has been a problem, and I think that we need to continue to communicate to people that work with the staff to make this work, or come in public comment, so it's not some sort of email. I just ignore the emails and put them in the inbox for public records, purposes, but please don't write us individually.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
At
Thank
my
you.
personal email address, for Pete's sake, too. That's another concern.
Absolutely. That goes for all of us. Thank you very much for bringing that up. Okay, legal report, Ms. Sanders?
Morning.
Good morning.
So I didn't see my report in the green folder. I'll email it to you guys if you don't have it.
We should have it. It was in the green folder.
Green folder.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
good.
Thank you, and welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
You're new.
I
You-
am so excited to be here. I'm having a blast. I believe Mr. Bingaman already covered our biggest legal update with the birth of Mr. Caden. Ms. Hartsfield, I just want to give her a shout out. She did such a good job of showing me the ropes before she had that baby. And we're so excited for her. So while I've been here for the last few weeks, I have worked very closely in particular with enforcement. And our investigators, particularly Ms. Rodriguez and I, have developed some new procedures to help speed through some of these cases and get through some of these old cases. In fact, in this quarter alone, we've already closed 16 cases, which is quite a big deal compared to what we've been doing. So I'm really excited about the direction that's going in and the good working relationship that we've built. So this last quarter we closed, we sent out 30 notices of complaint. We currently have one case still pending before SOA, and I believe that's been going on for a while. And we haven't sent any letters of warnings out. Y'all have any questions?
Thank you. You've been taking it in really quick, so I appreciate you.
Thank you. I'm
Doing that.
having a good time.
Mhm. Welcome. Thank you. Inspections, Mr. Bass.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Bass.
You've been traveling?
A lot.
I have to say this. I say this probably every quarter. I just appreciate Mr. Bass for everything that you do. The phone calls that you get from our field.
I was getting.
Your travel, your experience, your expertise, your willingness to work with people. We're privileged to have you part of this group.
Thank you.
Representing our industry. So
I know, I'll second that, but I will say, oftentimes you're the face of the commission. You're the only person that the industry knows. And when you get a phone call from your staff that says the commission's here, sometimes that's scary. And when they see that you're friendly, you're willing to look at all aspects of it, and you're willing to answer questions, I think that that's important. I get more reports about when our inspections are done, how pleasant that experience was. Even if there's a deficiency, it's still a pleasant experience for our licensees, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely. You do a great job. Always have, and you continue to, and we're grateful for you and blessed to have you. So thank you
Thank you.
very much.
are you seeing new funeral homes or new establishments?
A lot.
Really?
I'd like to, when you were talking to Maria, I was thinking, wonder how many there are now.
Yeah.
Got to be more than 8,000.
So You're seeing a big uptick in new establishments?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of anatomicals too.
Yeah. I mean, anatomicals are new.
Mhm.
How many repeat discrepancies are you seeing from people? I'm looking at the stats and I see a very small number of deficiencies overall, right? Our licensees are doing a good job of being in compliance when you show up. But of those, how many of those are actually repeat discrepancies of the same item that you see over and over?
Usually every week I get a deficiency. And now by the time I get to the motel, they've corrected it. They've emailed it. Because a lot of it is expired licenses, which they're all confused because of what Maria explained. And but if I go to your establishment and it's expired, I can't just say it was lying. I mean, I can't lie about it.
No,
I'm
no,
on
no.
expired license. And usually by the time I get back to the motel that day, they've already called Maria and got it all fixed. And now, if they have like a hole in their prep room and their floor, well, they're going to need all 15 days to get that fixed or more. But they usually comply and call and say, look, the contractor can't be here until this day. And I'll say, well, take a picture and send it to me.
But from your recollection, because you generally, I mean, we only have three of you guys, right? You, Jewel,
Really
and
two,
Rudy.
but
Yeah, two
Rudy.
and a half, right?
Mhm.
Trend line, you don't see a lot of the same problem next year when you come and inspect them.
It's
they have
a
the
whole
same thing.
different, yeah.
It's always something a little new. Okay. And hopefully nothing for that particular establishment.
A lot of times there's no items found.
Good deal. Thank you.
You know, I know it's evident that you and Ms. Haynes work good together. I've witnessed it, and I appreciate what you do as well. Y'all really do. Y'all coordinate things well.
She
So,
puts me in detention every time.
yeah.
Well, thank you. You all have done a terrific job. We really, really are impressed by your entire staff. You've all done a great job, and thank you very much. I think we've got these reports we've gotten this time have been great with a lot of detail, and we've made notes of any additional detail we need to add also for next time. And commissioners, do you have any more comments?
No.
All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank y'all.
So we're going to, yes, sir.
Yes, sir, Mr. Allen.
Yes, sir, you are. Thank you. Okay, we're going to take a 10-minute break before we move on to the next agenda item. The time is 10:08. And the commission will go on a quick break. Thank you. Okay, the time is 10:23 a.m. and we are returning from a break. We do have a quorum present. We are moving to agenda item number 9. And commissioners, in your folder, there's two separate pieces of paper that have these rules, chapter 210 for non-transplant whole body donation. And if you'll turn to those in lieu of the ones in your binder, these were done after some additional changes that took place after it was already put in your binder. Well, yeah, if you'll just refer to these instead, please. Okay. We could let's start with chapter 210, non-transplant whole body donation. It starts with 210.01. You have that page in front of you and it's two-sided. Okay. Does anybody have any comments, questions about these proposed rules? These do cover some fees that we needed to prescribe because they were at zero, along with how renewals work. It's just really the basics, and we'll continue to build off of these.
Madam Chair, I move to propose Rule 203.50, inspections and investigations, with the following changes. In the third paragraph that is currently numbered 1, relabel it to C, and this is just non-substantive changes. This is just correcting the typos. For the fourth paragraph that is currently labeled F as in Foxtrot, relabel it D as in Delta. And for the final paragraph, it's labeled H as in hotel, renumber it or relabel it E as in echo. And since it hasn't been fully reviewed by the Attorney General's office, I'd like to note my motion is pending legal review by the Office of the Attorney General.
Great, thank you. I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Motion passes. Thank you. And that was for 203.50 inspections and investigations.
I want to just, I know there wasn't any objection. I think you said, I just want to make sure that this was clear in how we approved it, that we actually took the vote, because I think instead of objection, you said any discussion. So can we roll that back just a bit? I don't want to be retentive here.
Yes, I apologize for the motion made by Commissioner Obiela, seconded by Commissioner Cumbas. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay, now we'll look at the 210.01. Anybody have any discussion or comments?
It's the entire chapter 210 that are we going to handle them item by item, or are we going to do the entire chapter 210 that's in front of us?
Okay. So the one that we just adopted was actually chapter 203.50.
Yes.
Not adopted, move to
Propose.
propose. And yes, we could do 210 as a whole with any changes that need to be notated.
Would it be appropriate? Go ahead. I'll move that we propose the rules contained in Chapter 210, non-transplant whole body donations with the following changes. Under 210.20, strike the words individual or. Under 210.21, create the subdivision where before it says official submission, create the subdivision B as in Bravo. And then this is just a typo in the presentation before us, but subset out 210.22, final disposition of whole body or anatomical specimens as a heading in front of the A that follows that. And then this is just a style change as well under 210.27 fees, where the fee is above $1,000, place a comma before each instance. So the fee will be 2,790.00 for initial establishment. Under renewal fee, it will be 1,789.00. And under late fee, it will be the same, 1,789.00.
Thank you. I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Opiella. I have a second.
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Compass. Any discussion?
I have a question of council. The style-wise, and I don't mean to get nitpicky, but we usually don't have a subdivision alpha when we don't have a Bravo. Is that, how do y'all handle that generally in other rules? Although I anticipate that we're going to have more divisions under definitions, for instance, in the future. So I'm fine with leaving it with just A on those, because these are new rules that we haven't fully built out since this is a new part of our commission. So I'll have one more set of amendments to what we're proposing, just to be clear. Under 210.20, just remove the subdivision portion A at the beginning of it, not the rest of the rule, but just strike that little open parenthetical A, close parenthetical. And the same under 210.21, I'm sorry, 210.22. And then, yes, there is one additional typo under 210.27. The second subdivision C, payment of fees, shall be relabeled D, as in Delta. And that concludes my motion.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 10. Do we have any recommendations for our next meeting for the agenda?
Madam Chair, based upon one of the comments at the beginning from Dr. Gilbert, I want to make sure that when we take, obviously we had to get these done now, but the remainder of the rules that we've not considered at this meeting, are we actively having the advisory board vet those prior to our next meeting?
Yes, sir. So these were developed by Sarah Hartsfeld. And this is also in our implementation report. After we've had several meetings with them, and this is part of their stakeholders' feedback as well. And with the fees, that's something that's been evaluated on what those should be to cover the cost as well, and will continue to be evaluated. But absolutely, yes, we've taken their feedback and their advice into consideration, and it's been very valuable.
So we've had good communication with them thus far, and I encourage further communication with them, with staff as we move forward with this.
Oh, yes, sir. We have, and she's been developing this, but this is the development that has happened from a long year of lots of great meetings. So
I remember that.
So here we're coming to where we are now. So absolutely. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Madam Chair. I want to reintroduce something that's been ongoing for now a couple of years. I want to continue having conversation about our state exam. I know SB 2040 has been taking a lot of time, and I don't want that to get lost in the shuffle. I think we need to, I would like to have it on our agenda to discuss it. And if we need to invite any of our people that are involved in that, I would like to do that as well.
Sorry, I'm a little bit sick, so having difficulty projecting. Would it be more fruitful if we took this up in like a stakeholder meeting or?
And do a stakeholder meeting?
Yeah,
That would be fine. I think we've had a lot of stakeholder meetings.
Okay.
And we're not making any traction.
Mhm.
So our constituents in the field are for this. And I think we need to get it to a point where we can have discussion as a body. That's my opinion.
I think perhaps if y'all wanted to make a directive to staff to look into the proposal for bids, because I think when last we left this off, that was kind of where we needed to go, that it would require some proposals.
If we do that, could we task our executive director to lead that and be informed? I know he's had a ton with and been inundated, but this is something that our industry supports, and I don't want it to get lost. So I would be happy if our staff were educated on what this is and can do some legwork with this, because ultimately this has been going on for a long time, and we need to have a conversation about it.
Okay, yes, and I think just so that conversation is fully informed, directing staff to look into what would be required for a state exam. And I believe it's the bidding process, the proposals
And
that'll
I
need
know,
to
sure.
be developed.
And I know that if we charge them to do that, our executive director could help delegate some of this to his team. But I would be happy, as well as some of our guests in the audience, to educate our executive director on what this is after the meeting.
Mhm. And yeah, absolutely. And Cody Lepansky has been a great asset in giving us some feedback and helping with the information that we need. There was some confusion at one time, and I think that he gives a really compelling reason. And that, from my understanding, we're going to have to take steps that to bid it, the process. And I know that he said that he was open to that as well, but to make sure it's something that can be adopted with Texas, as a lot of their exams have turned to national exams. And this is information I've gathered as I was working on it as well. But we could direct staff to continue to work on this program and meet with Mr. Lepansky.
And if so, maybe update us at the next meeting.
Absolutely.
I would like to see that. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
One last item, because our next meeting is going to be in the throes of the legislative session. I haven't seen any legislation come across that's been pre-filed regarding our commission. And I know that there probably is some discussions going on between staff and legislative offices and the governor's office. I think it would be good to kind of get a heads up as to that. Especially since we had a very active legislative session last time,
Yes.
that it might be appropriate to not wait until our next meeting to begin those discussions, given the filing deadlines are going to be shortly after that next meeting.
Yes, sir. Anything else under agenda item number 10?
In that vein, along the lines of what I've said, have we gotten any feedback? And maybe this is a question for our executive director. Have we gotten any feedback from LBB as to our legislative appropriations request and how that's going to play?
Yes, if you'll step forward. I know we have, and I want to see if we've gotten formal feedback. Thank you, Mr. Bingaman.
So formal feedback for our LAR. So we've had several revisions that we've had to do, and they had requested some additional data from us for clarification. We have identified all the FTEs. That was the biggest hangup, were FTEs and salary adjustments. So right now, the LAR has been accepted by the Legislative Budget Board. The next step moving forward is we're going to wind up having a hearing. We'll have to appear before probably House Appropriations next. But everything's being fine-tuned behind the scenes because there's an additional request we're going to look at having to make, which will be done in January, which is a typical thing that usually happens where we have to make
Exceptional item. Yeah.
Correct. Regrettably, our LBB person, our contact, his name was Michael, has stepped down. He is now Chief of Staff, I forgot exactly where, over at the House. And we now have a brand new person who just stepped in about a week and a half ago. So we have a short window to get her caught up to where we are. But confidence is high that, because I haven't had to speak with him lately about anything that needed to be adjusted, that our LAR is where it's supposed to be. And it is true and accurate, pending an adjustment that we need to request in January.
Excellent. I appreciate y'all staying on top of that, especially in light of our next meeting. We'll probably know a lot more by that point.
My remarks to the LBB were included in that green folder. If you guys want to take a look at that, I also included the link to the hearing that Commissioner Tips and I attended as well. If you guys wanted to view it online through Texas Legislature Online, you can watch it as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bingaman. You did a great job also in your presentation that day.
And don't sell yourself short as well. You appeared as well.
Well,
Chairman.
thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to agenda item number 11. We have the location and times. Does anybody have a preference? We're setting up the meetings in advance, and they will be posted on the website in advance as well for February 4th. And then in May, I have the 20th is a preferred, actually. The 20th of May. Give you all a moment to check your schedules. The 20th.
I would be unable to do the 27th of May.
Okay.
So the 20th would work for me.
Okay, perfect. So that will be on May 20th, 2025. And then the next one in August. Opposed. I have that August 26th is preferred. Yes, sir.
The 27th, I think you had said you weren't able to make. The 27th is a date, I think that we know for sure we have this room, so we're not certain about the 20th.
Well,
So-
I can probably make expensive changes to plans, but I'll work with you on that if that's, but I think you had a conflict as well for that day, right?
Okay.
Okay, well.
So we'll try our level best here to see if we can get back in this room, but all the other dates were clear for this room here. Okay.
Okay, so the 26th is a conflict.
26 is Memorial Day, or the day after Memorial Day was we were in May, right? May was the one that you had the room issue.
Correct.
I mean, I think I can do it. The flight doesn't leave until 5 p.m. So as long as we get out of here, it's
Are you
fairly early.
saying having it on the 26th, on Memorial Day?
No,
is
no,
it?
on the 27th.
On the 27th, okay.
We could look at the
Last day
13th.
of session, I was trying to.
And that's just for the scheduling of this room. We can
Yes.
always use another room if needed. I
We'll
think
work
it
with
gets
you.
difficult. The following week is summer for
Yes.
a lot of people. And
I'm being told the 20th is available, this room.
Okay.
okay, so May
Problem solved.
20th.
Okay.
Perfect.
So can we go back to the week of February 4th?
Yes, sir.
I'm okay with that week. I'd have difficulty on the 4th or the 5th.
Could we do the
Could we do
3rd?
the 6th?
Third? Okay.
How about the 11th?
The 11th I could do. Yeah. Okay. On the 11th?
Okay. We'll adjourn to a good lunch on the Capitol grounds.
Okay.
So the 11th is our day for February.
February 11th. And we'll check on, so this room won't be available, but is that,
It will be in a different room. It will not be here on the 11th.
I think it's okay. We'll just, okay. Okay, so we have February 11th and May 20th.
You know, that's even before committees begin meeting. We might be able to secure one of the extension rooms.
Perfect.
At the Capitol?
Mm-hmm. We can check on that. Thank you.
We've been there before.
Okay.
That would be great. Okay, so we'll move into August. Yes, but we can.
I would prefer the 5th, but I can make either one work.
Did you say August 26th was available? Yes, okay. We do August 26th? Okay, August 26th, 2025. Okay, moving into October. October 28th. Okay, all right. Okay, well, thank you all very much. So we have February 11th. Staff will check on getting an extension room, the Capitol. May 20th, 2025, August 26th, 2025, and October 28th, 2025. Thank you. Thank you very much for getting this all set up so we can plan in advance.
Okay.
All right.
Said February 11th, right?
May 20th. The easiest way to do it.
Good. We're good.
Okay. All right. And Miss Kelly, all those dates work for you as well? Okay, wonderful. Okay, well, we have that established. We'll move on to the next agenda item. Do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So move.
Could I have a motion by Commissioner Skapansky, seconded by Commissioner Brown? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you all and have a good holiday.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.